Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Media. I am Dr. Nik Nikam. We are delighted you could join us. All our programs, our video stream through our YouTube channel Nik Nikam, where we have more than 1100 videos accenting our Indian experience here in the United States. And we also have more than 7,000 subscribers with 2.4 million views. We also have a Facebook page, which is a NANO News Network, or Triple N, which is pretty popular internet social media here in the Houston area, where we bring you the latest news, views, and opinions from around the world. Today we are going back to my hometown, which is Bangalore, and I have two special guests, and they are going to be talking about a new topic, which is whiskey. So, ladies and gentlemen, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I would like to introduce my guest. Right next to me is Mr. Neelakanta Rao Rakshit. Mr. Neelakanta Rao, nice to meet you.
Pleasure, doctor.
Yes. He says Rakshit. I'm sure it's not anyway connected to Jack Daniels.
Not at all.
Not at all. And next to him is his son, Rakshit Rakshit. And okay, we're going to be talking about Amrut. Before we go any further, just give a brief introduction of yourself, and then we'll talk about Amrut.
All right, doctor. I am Neelakanta Rao Rakshit, as chairman and managing director of the Amrut Distilleries Private Limited in Bangalore, located in Bangalore, India. And next to me is my son, Rakshit Rakshit. He is the executive director of the distilleries of the distillery. And we also have our son-in-law, my daughter's husband. His name is Nik Nikam. And he is not here today. He is back at home looking after the businesses that we have. He is also a part of our family, along with friends and also people who work for us, senior executives as well as junior executives. We are a team of about nearly 250 managers and sales staff, in addition to about workforce, which is about roughly around 400 numbers in 3 different plants across India. Essentially, Dr. Nikam, as this is mainly streaming to the Indian audience,
Yes.
And may as well be viewed by other audience.
Sure, definitely, because we have international audience
Yes,
on our social media.
Idea is to educate what whiskey is, and particularly what Indian whiskey is. To give you a history of the alcoholic beverages in the world, I'll try and take you through a bit of history.
Yeah.
In general, not only in India, but across the world.
That's fascinating. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching a Triple N Media through our YouTube channel, and please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Today we are talking about the world of whiskey, and my special guest is Mr. Neelakanta Rao Rakshit and Rakshit Rakshit. In all fairness, I should say, he also mentioned about Nik Nikam, who happens to be my brother's son. So we just want to make all records clear here. But I'm so proud of what you gentlemen have accomplished, just staying in Bangalore. So let's start off with, before we go any further, let's start off with the definition of what Amrut means for non-Indians.
See, the word Amrut is basically a Sanskrit name.
Yes.
And it's more mythological in its
I know.
wording and character and the demons and the good people, Suras and Asuras, they started churning. They put the mountain in the center of the ocean. They started churning between each other like a churn the milk, like a buttermilk. And it was meant that at the end of it, you will get an elixir of Amrut.
I see.
And elixir has arose from this one, which if somebody consumes, he'll become immortal. So we want to do something immortal. My father wanted to do something immortal.
That's fascinating, and I think it's also been mentioned in Indian spiritual books and mythology that it's the nectar that is consumed by the gods and goddesses. Okay, let's talk about, ladies and gentlemen, here are 2 samples of Amrut, which is available internationally. And let's talk about, you mentioned something about single malt. I'm a heart doctor, so in fact,
I understand.
So let's talk about what is single malt and what are other types of whiskies that are available in the market. Right? Rakshit, you can also jump in.
Sure. Yes. The definition of single malt whiskey, Doctor, if you look at, it has to be made primarily from 100% malted barley. Barley, yes. Yeah. Barley is one of the cereal grains that you get. It has to be made from 100% malted barley. It has to be distilled from a single distillery.
I see,
and it has to be matured in oak wood casks or barrels with a capacity of 700 liters or less for a minimum period of 3 years as per the European Union standards and minimum period of 4 years as per the American standards or the TTB standards. So,
I see.
Yes. So, as far as Amrut is concerned, we have been conforming to those standards ever since we introduced the single malt whiskey in Glasgow on August 24, 2004. So we have been conforming to those international standards and qualifying to be sold as Indian single malt whiskey both in the European Union as well as the United States of America.
And you mentioned something about using barley, but I don't think that's available in every part of the world, is it? And what do the other countries use?
It is used,
if you want to call it single malt whiskey, it has to be made from only 100% malted barley.
I see.
Well, you get different spirits. You get, say for example, bourbon.
Yes.
Bourbon, according to the American law, it has to be made from a minimum of 51% corn.
I see.
The balance 49% can be a combination of either malted barley or rye or even wheat. But if you want to call a whiskey single malt, it has to be made from 100% barley, malted barley.
So when you say single malt, are there other types?
Yes.
So maybe we can talk about the other types of whiskies that are available in the market.
So fundamentally, I would say, Doctor, the whiskey market is in 2 kinds. One is the single malt whiskey and the blended malt whiskey.
Blended.
See, why blended malt whiskey came into existence? Again, it is an historic thing in the context of Scotland. Earlier, I think everybody was distilling just single malt whiskey because barley was in plenty available, and they used to do what would you do? You just feed it to the animals. And whatever surplus is there, you malt it and either you drink it as beer or you distill the beer to make it into whiskey.
I see.
See, we have to realize that any farm produce is never wasted. That's the nature of business. Even if you take wine, why wine was fundamentally invented is, you can't eat all the grapes during season. Like it's lemon. In India, we can't eat all the lemon that we grow. So we have to, at some point of time, it has to be converted into pickles.
Pickles, yes.
And you add value.
That's right,
And it is because agricultural life is very hard.
Similarly, in the petroleum industry, even though we're extracting gasoline, there are like hundreds of byproducts which are routinely used in every aspect of life all around the world.
So, just a perspective as to no agricultural produce we can't afford to waste it, and it is so across the world. And any produce, we try to take the value out of it. More so agricultural produce, because the farmer is involved in it, and it takes a lot of pain to grow it. And what we do is we keep on adding value as we go, so that the product that is produced on the farm is not wasted. Either it be barley, or it can be corn, it can be grapes, or whatever it is. So the process of this is very peculiar to a country, especially if you take barley malt. It's fundamentally grown in Europe. Of course, in colder climates in the United States also they grow barley malt. In India, most of the malt, almost all the malt that we grow comes from the northwest of India. That's basically from Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan. These are the major malt growing areas because we have the cooler climates at that point of time. And it is grown normally in the winter time, sown in winter time around October or November, and harvested in Baisakhi, they call it Vaisakh, that is on 14th of, around April of the month when it is mature. So then they take it over to the maltsters, and we have our own maltsters who supplies the barley malt. So they do it to the required grade that we want to make our whiskey. So
fascinating.
That's how the whiskey trade has evolved. Again, classification between blended malt whiskey and single malt whiskey. The requirement of whiskies grew over the past century. But just like cotton. Much like, to give you an example, earlier only cotton was the only fabric that was available. 100 years, 150, woolen was the only fabric. And as the demand for clothing went up, the production could not keep it up. So that's why terraline was invented. To make it into
all this artificial terracotta and
terry wool and other things came into being to feed the clothing market. I think it's a good thing because otherwise people would not have had good clothes at a reasonable price.
That is true.
The same thing is true in the whiskey industry as well, because when the demand outstripped the supply, they had to go in for a cheaper grain and distill whiskey. Since they had a lot of corn available.
That makes sense. Especially in America, where corn is available in plenty.
So corn whiskey was distilled in a continuous still, and just to make the product less expensive, and a portion of the malted whiskey was blended into this one, say about 30%, 40%, depending on each blender's this one. They combined it and matured it further to give it a profile which is a little bit lighter in its taste, but it is quite wholesome. And they kept the age the same so that the maturity factors, other things were kept even. So most of the drinks across the world, especially Scotch, even now is about 95% of it will be in the blended category. Much like we wear clothes. So cottons have become popular again now. If you see the in-between scene, terracotta and terry wool were very, very popular. So just to give you a closer example is what I said is there is malt which is malted and then fermented, distilled and matured, and there is corn which is also fermented, distilled and matured. And
so among the experts, so a single malt is probably more premium or less premium compared to the
it is
mixed.
more premium. It's something like the question like is cotton more premium than terracotta? Obviously cotton is more premium. So that's why cotton clothes are more
expensive nowadays.
It's a very simple an analogy between the two things to make the consumer understand that it is why single malt. Why am I paying
more money?
But close to $70 for a product like this? It is so because it is made with 100% barley malt. So and it costs you more. If you want to drink cheaper drink, you can always go for a blended version. Hundreds of them are available. And there are other definitions for a single malt as well, that it should be distilled in in a single distillery
Yeah.
in the same location.
I see. Yeah.
The same now if it is done in Bangalore,
Yeah.
I have to continue making the single malt in Bangalore. It's outside of Bangalore, in fact.
Yeah.
I can't distill it in another place and call
That's-
it.
yeah.
I can call it another name.
That's right. Different name.
Yeah, it can't be the same product cannot be made
I
in
see,
two
yeah.
different places.
That's interesting.
So that makes it a very. It's like I come to your house
Yeah.
and eat food cooked in your house. So it is very
Unique to
you.
That's yeah.
So,
Yes, yes.
so it, see, and
To
each
the place and the
To the
ambience
place,
and
to the ambience,
materials.
and how
yes,
you
yes.
cook.
Yeah.
And it's impossible to compare cooking of one person to another person. You can't make the
Okay,
same thing
yeah.
again. The same truth is even if I were to make another kind of Amrut malt in another place,
Yeah.
it won't taste the same because the place, the character, the surroundings, and there are too many factors.
That reminds me of, we don't mind driving 25 to 50 miles to a particular restaurant.
Exactly.
Because we like their
Absolutely.
quality of food and the presentation and everything that goes with that.
Exactly.
Yes, you're right.
See,
You're right.
It
You're right.
is. See, that's the beauty of single malts.
Yeah.
We have hundreds of single malts across, at least from Scotland, not
Yeah.
less than about more than 100 different single malts.
Oh
more
yes,
than that.
much more than that.
But there is no doubt the Scottish industry, and
Yeah.
I have a great respect for them because they are at least 300 to 400-year-old industry,
That's, yeah.
and they have set very clear standards.
Yeah.
Very clear standards, and we have learnt a lot coming along the way that we have come, and have had a lot of consultancies with
I see, yeah.
within Scotland. So the standards are very tight
I see, yeah.
for Scotch whisky. Since we have followed the standards today, coming down several years
Yeah.
in distilling, we are able to bring a produce which meets the standards of the European Union
Yeah.
as well as the other countries. Because each country
yeah.
have their standards. So that has helped us bring these products to the international market.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the international market and all this. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching Triple N Media. I am Dr. Nik Nikam, and my special guests are Neelakanta Rao Rakshit and Rakshit Jagdale. They are from Bangalore. They are from Amrut distilleries, where they produce a single malt whiskey. I'm learning a lot about whiskey today. And please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we have more than 1,100 videos accenting our experience here in the United States. Triple N Media is the fastest growing social network media here in the Houston area, and we also have a Facebook page, Triple N Media, where we bring you the latest news, views, and opinions from around the world. So look for Amrut, which is also available in the United States, right?
Yes,
Yes.
indeed,
Okay,
yes.
it's available. The next time you have a home party or a business party or a business group meeting, think about Amrut. But as a cardiologist, I can tell you, please do drink responsibly.
Moderation.
Absolutely. In moderation. Indeed.
Okay, let's talk about, when I started getting into whiskey right after medical school and all this, there was always this, it's proof, 90% proof, 95% proof. I mean, the higher the proof, then as a medical student, I realized, what proof means. But maybe you can explain in a better language
Yes.
what the proof means and where does it matter nowadays?
Well, proof is basically a terminology that helps you to determine the strength of alcohol. Whereas in India, we're used to the British proof, where at 100 proof, which is 57.1%. This I'm talking about 100 British proof, is a flash point at which alcohol ignites. In the sense, it catches fire. So that was the basic system in the olden days, where they used to determine the strength of alcohol. So proof.
Let me stop you for a second.
Yeah.
Because I'm like a kid. When they say 100% proof, is it 100% pure alcohol or is it?
No.
Oh, okay.
100
No,
degrees.
100 degree proof.
Oh,
It's normally 100 degree proof, which generally
That means it would ignite at 100 degrees.
it would ignite at 100 degree proof,
Oh,
which
I
is
see.
again British proof I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
So if you come to the American proof, it is absolutely half of that. It's exactly 50%.
Is that right?
It's very easy to calculate.
So you can have the same amount of alcohol,
Yes.
but the way it is interpreted is different.
Indeed. Yes, please. Yes,
I mean,
correct.
United States versus Europe.
Versus Europe, indeed. Yes.
That's
that is
something
correct.
new to me.
Yeah, it's very simple to calculate in the United States. If a bottle reads, for example, say 120 proof, just divide that number by 2. So the alcohol percent is 60% straight away. So which is a much simpler and the easier system to adopt.
For some reason, the British proof is a little complicated.
Yes.
And it's easier for us because we have been brought into that.
I know, that's right.
The US proof is quite simple. If it
quite
takes
simple,
100% means it is 50% alcohol.
Yes.
So
I was totally under total ignorance. So when they said, 95% proof, I thought the content was 95% alcohol and 5% maybe some preservative or something.
No, doctor, no.
This is totally new to me.
Yes, because 95 degree proof means it is around 47.5% is the alcoholic strength, volume by volume, yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back to our Amrut distilleries in Bangalore. Maybe you can give us an overview of the factory itself.
Okay. See, this was started in 1948 by my father, because my father married into my mother's family way back in 1942. My grandfather, Mr. Ishwar Rao Gaikwad, he was a fairly rich man at the time.
I see, yeah.
And he provided the seed capital for my father to start up this. But my father didn't want to get into business, trading.
I see, yeah.
He wanted to be an industrialist.
I see.
So that was his mission in life. So after married my mother, he tried a few businesses and then started this 1948. He started 2 companies. One was Amrut Laboratories, which also made medicines at the time.
I see, yeah.
Because he was basically a chemist. And he had completed his graduation of those days. I mean, I'm talking about 1940s. And he was basically a BSc chemistry and chemistry. He was very strong in chemistry and maths.
So no wonder he could analyze and decipher what the content should be and how to change these contents to give a better taste.
For some reason he said, okay, one will be a pharma wing, another will be a distillery.
Yeah.
And at that time, for the distillery, we were only blending and bottling. We were not distilling anything at the time.
I see, yeah.
We were only blending and bottling. That means we were buying alcohol from the market.
I see, yeah.
And at that time in late 40s, we did not have grain alcohol in the country. We had only molasses alcohol because historically India has been a large sugarcane grower. And we have a lot of molasses available there.
What is molasses?
Molasses is a mother liquor that is left over when you convert sugarcane to sugar.
Oh, okay.
So it goes through a process in which the sugar is condensed, and then it is clarified over a period of time. You will be left over with some concentrated form of sugar, which contains about 45 to 50% of sugars in it. But you can't extract any more sugar from that. So you're done repeatedly.
What is worthless for a sugar factory turned into an alcohol industry.
So they distilled it because there is enough sugar there. They could just ferment it and distill it. So that made what was known as rectified spirit, and that was further refined to make extra neutral alcohol from molasses.
Oh, okay.
So if today I put extra neutral alcohol from molasses and extra neutral alcohol from grain, they would taste almost identical.
I see.
Barring about 2 to 3% of taste, which probably only people who are in the industry we can understand, but for a normal person it will be the same. So this is how the classification was there. So the extra neutral alcohol was brought into the premises and then we used to add additives called flavorings to make blended what was known as Indian made foreign liquor.
I see, yeah.
That was the classification given. And we must realize in those days, most of the companies that were producing alcohol was when liquor were British companies, like AWI, Hayward and Company, or
They probably won't even give license, I would say.
No. The licensing was very strict.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of controls and this one. So they gave a separate identification called Indian-made foreign liquor, where you were allowed to call, use the word brandy, whiskey, rum and gin. In the same way they used to use it in this one. And this is one of the arguments we keep giving across the world, that why whiskey? How do you call it as a whiskey when it was? I said, like, when I was born, that's what we learned.
Yeah,
that was how the British companies named it as this one. See, it was a source of revenue for them.
Yeah,
so we have to realize that fact. And we continued the same way after post-independence. Only thing, the post-independence, number of distilleries grew because of licensing policies changed. So that's how we acquired licenses in 1948. And we started making blended whiskies. And then only in 1970, a little around that time, we started distilling brandy.
I see.
So as you know, Bangalore was to have a lot of grapes.
I see, yeah.
It's called the Bangalore Blue grapes.
Yeah.
And we had at least about more than 10,000 hectares of being grown there. Mainly it was being used for juices. But then there was a choice for us to use it for making brandies. That's how we stepped into the brandy, and we got the technology from CFTRA, Mysore. And
I lived very close to CFTRA.
I used to.
In Vantikopul.
Vantikopul. When Dr. Amla was there, who was the head of the institution, and they helped us in the technology of making brandies. That's where the fermentation industries we were introduced in early 70s. And when I joined my father in 1972, that's where we started.
Yeah.
And so we learned a bit of fermentation and distillation by making brandies. And in the early part of 1980s, my father passed away in 1976. Sadly, prematurely rather. I was only 56 when he died.
Yeah. Oh.
And so we continued the situation, and I thought of why don't we make whiskies, because by the time the market in India had grown into what was known as the flavored market and the non-flavored market, not 100% malt whiskies or grey brandies, where we used to make grey brandy and malt whiskey. But they were not matured for a very long time. Maximum maturity used to be about 9 months to a year. And then it used to be blended with the molasses alcohol or grain alcohol, just to give the flavor of it. So that's how the blended whiskies and blended brandies became popular and started replacing the flavored ones. Nevertheless, the flavored ones is still the largest market of the Indian market.
The premium products will always have premium customers.
Absolutely.
Looking for those things.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching a Triple N Media. I am Dr. Nik Nikam, and we are coming to you live from Houston, Texas. And please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we have more than 7,000 subscribers and 1,100 videos accenting our experience here in the United States. And we also have a Facebook page, which is for Triple N Media, where we bring you the latest news, views, and opinions from across the world. Today we are talking about Amrut whiskey, a single malt whiskey. My special guests are Neelakanta Rao Jagdale and Rakshit Jagdale. Okay, let's switch gears, and Rakshit, maybe you can tell us about all the different brands of Amrut whiskey that are available in the market today. Then we'll come back and talk to Mr. Neelakanta Rao about what is this whiskey or wine tasting? What is the secret? No, yes. Currently, we have close to about 18 to 20 different expressions of our Amrut single malt whiskey within the Amrut portfolio. To begin with, as you can see, this bottle is the Amrut Classic or the Amrut Original, which is made from 100% malted Indian barley. We have the award-winning Amrut Fusion. Amrut Fusion was rated very highly in 2010 by Mr. Jim Murray. He gave it the third finest whiskey in the world. Where Amrut Fusion, thank you, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Amrut Fusion is made from 100% malted barley, Indian barley, as well as imported Scottish barley. So it's a fusion of two barleys. Apart from that, we have different varieties as far as the peated single malt whiskey is concerned, wherein it is made from 100% peated single malt, such as the Amrut peated single malt whiskey. We have certain specialty products like Amrut intermediate sherry finish whiskey, which is finished in a sherry cask, and we have Amrut Porto Nova, which is finished in a portwood cask that we import from Portugal. Apart from this, we have much older whiskies, which is named after the Greedy Angels platform. We have the Greedy Angels 8-year-old, 10, and recently this year we introduced the Greedy Angels 12-year-old whiskey. So I think we have totally about 18 to 20 expressions. Recently we've come out with newer expressions like Amrut Spectrum, wherein we mature the whiskey in a barrel which has got which is made from 5 different staves. The staves and 5 different woods. It's American wood, Spanish, even including sherry, port. So we've got 5 different types of woods that go into fabricating a single cask. And we mature the whiskey from this unique cask, and we've come out with a product called Amrut Spectrum, which has gained a lot of accolades world over already. We have something called Amrut Narangi, which is what we do is we take oranges from Coorg and we dry them out, and we soak the cask in these oranges, and we remove it and we fill matured whiskey in it and allow it to finish for 6 months to a year. So it's finished in casks that are earlier treated with the orange peel going into it, so which is something really unique and something different. So totally we have about 20 expressions, Doctor, now.
I'm just curious, coming from an Indian background, and of course most of these are extracts of carbohydrates basically.
Yes.
Rice is available in such plenty. Why people don't use rice for producing alcohol? In fact, some of the bootleg low-income people, that's what they use in the backyards to produce cheap alcohol.
You're very right, Doctor, because now rice is... we must realize India was always a country short of grains.
Yeah.
Till probably 10-15 years ago, our total grain production was about 25 crore tons.
Mm-hmm.
All grains put together, that is rice, wheat. 25 crores is about 250 million, isn't it?
Yes.
Somewhere around. Some
250 million, yes.
250 million tons. So we have been seeing a consistent increase in the grain production over the past at least about 10-15 years. Every year it is slightly growing up by about 1% to 2%. So if you imagine even 2% extra grain, it's going to be something like about 2% on about 250 million is about 5 million tons. 5 crore. 5 crore tons of extra grain would produce you close to about 200 crore liters of alcohol, or more than that. That's a lot of alcohol.
That's right.
So now we are seeing a significant shift of using extra rice, especially broken rice, which can't be used, or there is a quantity of
in
rice
regular
which,
cooking.
No, even in the millers, they have a quantity of grains which can't go for. They become, sometimes they go into a spoilage.
Oh, I see.
Before that, the distilleries can pick it up and add value. I come back to the same thing.
Story.
At no point of time, world can afford to throw away any kind of food.
Absolutely, because energy is something that has to be utilized.
Yes. And now the government of India has gone on a big spree to convert, to make alcohol, grain and molasses, mainly molasses, into fuel, called ethanol program. And I'm sure the industry would grow very well. So your point was right. Rice is today being used. Andhra Pradesh especially has surplus rice. So they sell it to the distillers.
I see.
So we get a parallel source of alcohol as well now.
That's fascinating. Rakshit, maybe you can talk about some of the awards and accolades Amrut has received all across the globe, I should say.
Yes. Of course, Doctor. To begin with, Amrut Fusion, like I mentioned, won the third finest whiskey in the world in 2010, which was definitely
that's a huge achievement, coming from when we were just like serving under the British until 1949 to become like the third most valuable player in the whiskey market in the world.
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much.
I must add that Mr. Jim Murray is a Brit and very impartial in his judgment. We never went to him, and he was just judged on a panel over here. And on that year, the first place went to Sazerac Rye, which was an American whiskey. So rye whiskey from America. The second place was Ardbeg.
Ardbeg, Supernova.
Supernova, which was a Scottish Islay. Islay malt, was it?
Yes.
Islay malt. And the third was Amrut Fusion. So it did help us to recognize that the world recognized, look, here it is. India is today arrived on the scene where the product is being sold. Why I keep telling this is very important is it is easy to sell a service if you are competitive. Like, I'm not saying anything about any industry per se. If it's a service industry, easy. But if somebody else is going to bring down the price of the service, the moment that the business will flow to that country. So
India, you've seen all the jobs from the United States moving ashore, and there's no manufacturing, even the labor jobs like answering phones and all. These are all done by outsourcing mechanisms.
And it is essential for every country, like China has been doing today, that they build products. See, today if Amrut single malt is made, it is made in Bangalore in India. That's period and paragraph. That's a paragraph. Right. I can't make this anywhere else.
See, that's why always I'm digressing for a second here. But in India, for India to be extremely successful in the global market, you cannot rely on just computer service. You have to manufacture products like China and export it to the rest of the world. Until we do that, we are not going to make an impact in the global market because as you said, service is negotiable. And it can vanish. Oh yes, it has. In fact, there's so many call centers in Bangalore and Hyderabad which have evaporated.
So when you look at the scene, I still feel Government of India, especially follows up a very conscious policy. It's not that it's alcohol or anything like that. Anything that has value added has to be and made in India. Has to be this. Our Prime Minister has been very kind enough to take a very good view of Make in India. But there are products which are already made in India. Those products, for example, you take the speakers called the Bose speakers. Made by a Calcutta gentleman who started. Of course, he does it outside of India today. But make people capable of, and those industries which are already existing and producing quality products. For example, TVS is known. I mean, these are the things, like for example, Mercedes-Benz is known. It is known because of Germany.
Absolutely.
And it's made, a Mercedes-Benz made in Germany is Mercedes-Benz.
I always like to buy Mercedes made in Germany than any other place.
We all feel like that. And if it's made in India, we say, is it made in India or is it made in Germany?
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching Triple N Media. I am Dr. Nik Nikam, and we are talking about Amrut, an Indian-made single malt whiskey from Bangalore, of course, my hometown. I have to say that. And my special guests are Neelakanta Rao and Rakshit Jagdale. Okay, let's get back to tasting. What is the secret in tasting wine or whiskey? Maybe I need to know, or the audience would like to know. What do they look for?
I think Rakshit can take this question better than me because
you have more experience.
I'll add to it.
Okay.
As far as tasting is concerned, it's got to do with an individual choice. Generally, what we suggest, especially when you're tasting a single malt whiskey, is that you can take one or a single shot of whiskey and add just a splash of water, so it opens up the flavors. But again, it's entirely up to you. For example, in India, as you know, it's the climate is very warm and very humid, and people like to have a tall drink. People like to add a lot of soda and ice in it and enjoy the drink, and it goes perfectly well. It's got to do with the place, with the environment, and it's your personal choice. But our only request is, please don't add any Coke or Pepsi into a single malt whiskey or even a bourbon, because a lot of effort has gone into making these wonderful alcoholic beverages. So it's best savored with water, or maybe a little bit of sparkling water to go with it.
That's a good point and advice.
Can you explain something about the way to do OLP or?
Oh yes. In fact, normally what we do is when we conduct tasting sessions for consumers, we take them through a tutored tasting class wherein we explain to them the technique of tasting whiskey. Unfortunately, I don't have a glass with me to demonstrate exactly, but normally we pour a shot of whiskey into a glass, and we allow the whiskey to settle down for say a couple of minutes, and then we generally hold the glass in the palm of our hands.
I can already imagine the glass.
Yeah, a glass on the palm of our hands,
Yeah.
And we tend to warm the whiskey up, so that, and then we nose it, and while doing that, obviously, because the heat from your palms will gently warm the whiskey up, and that will liberate more of the aromas that are there in the whiskey, and then you can gently nose it from side to side from different nostrils, and then you can taste it. I mean, you can add a little bit of water if you would like, but generally single malt whiskeys are preferred neat.
So what do you just take a little sip, or you just swallow the whole thing?
No. I would say if we will be doing a tasting session sometime next year, close by, because we keep doing this quite often across the world, and we just take it around the whole way. So why should I pay about $65 to $70 for a whiskey like this? Then see how to judge the value. Like you have to judge a fabric. We go see the fabric, touch the fabric, and feel the fabric, and see how light it is, whether it's breathable. So like that, we need to know what we're drinking. It is food at the end of the day. So you keep the glass. We use the nose, the palate, and use this and distinctively find out. And this is something that we would like our malt whiskey connoisseurs to develop over a period of time.
Yeah.
And if they're interested, we will be sending out this one at different parts wherever we are doing in United States, so they can come and learn how to taste and appreciate a good malt whiskey. It applies to the same. It's much like the wine tasting as well. They're quite similar, but here it is we are tasting an alcohol at a very high strength. So you can taste an alcohol, but you don't have to drink at this time, because if you have a gastric problem, I would not advise somebody to take alcohol at about 100 proof.
I see, yeah.
I would like them to take it at a lesser strength, that you can always dilute it. You can enjoy the drink, but at a much lesser strength. For example,
that's a good advice.
For example, in India, it's very common to drink whiskey and soda.
Yeah.
But this was invented in the British days, because India is a place where it is very hot.
Yes.
And you can't be drinking 100% volume and 100 proof alcohol in Andhra, for example.
I know, it's very hot and
very hot. Unless you're sitting in an air-conditioned restaurant. And but even then, I would not advise, because I would like them to add little water and this one. And you made a very pertinent point as to the responsible drinking.
Yes.
Which is something that we very, as a company, we are very conscious about responsible drinking. And we've come to a stage in this world in alcoholic beverages when quality over quantity is important.
I see, yeah.
So it's
It's an experience more than just drinking a whole bottle.
But it's
Then you're an alcoholic.
Yes.
Then you're going to need a doctor's help.
Yeah. No, because the reason is, I don't want to say, for every ounce of alcohol, you are 6 grams, 6 kilocalories per gram. That is about for a drink of about a measure of about, say, around a single shot is about 30 ml.
30 ml, yeah.
So 30 ml will give you something like about on a proof strength, 100% strength will give 15% into 6, about 90 calories.
Yeah.
So if you take one drink, one full drink, it is about 180 calories.
Yeah.
You got to put that out next day. It's not taking 180 calories. Either eat less, which is not ideal.
It is, yeah.
Our best way is to see that we exercise next day to see that those calories are taken out. And we decidedly advise that please don't take too much. Take as much as you enjoy. Know what you're drinking. And we would like our people...
You made a very good point, and as a cardiologist, I was catching up on that, and that is, if you have 1 or 2 drinks, make sure you add the total calories, which is almost 300 calories or so, to your total calorie intake, because you don't want to be taking 2 or 4 drinks, which is adding calories. On top of that, you add all the 10 different course meal. By the end of the day, somebody has to take you back home.
I can say walking would consume about 5-6 calories per
about 4 calories. So it's not that you have to walk for an hour.
That's what I said. If you choose to take an alcohol every day, which is normally, I don't say doctors recommend a small one. You please ensure that you walk at least for about 45 minutes next day.
Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching Triple N Media. I am Dr. Nik Nikam, and we are talking about Amrut Single Malt Whisky, and my special guests here are Neelakanta Rao and Rakshit Jagdale, and they are from Bangalore, which is, of course, my hometown. I have to disclose. I'm proud of it, because you said, like Scotch whiskey in Scotland, they have been doing this for like 500 years, but in 70 years you made such a leap progress to be the third best liked whiskey in the world. Hearty congratulations.
Thank you.
And before we close, maybe you can give us what you see in your crystal ball in the next 5 or 10 years.
Well, doctor, I feel people will drink probably a little less, but probably they'll migrate more towards quality alcohol, and that's what we want also, that they don't, because today's life is not like the past that we had. That we could take things a little casually. Today's life is hard, and they have to keep up their health, they have to keep up their families, they have to keep, at the same time, they must enjoy their life as well.
Absolutely, because, some people of the concept that if you drink more, you're more macho. I said, no. That concept is ill thought of. I mean, as I said, when you go to a restaurant or when you have a nice drink, it is the total experience that really matters, more so than the quantity.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
Somebody is going to drink it neat doesn't mean that you should drink it neat. You must know your constitution, how good your constitution is, and you can always drink the way that you want to, but dilute it and drink it. And if you don't want to drink and drink something else, please choose your drink that you wish to. But if you choose to take an alcohol, please take care of know your constitution well. And if you are fat adding type, you have to be doubly careful.
I see, Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Nik Nikam, and we are talking about Amrut Single Malt Whisky from Bangalore, India. As you see, I never asked them their address or location or phone number, anything. All you have to do is type Amrut and Bangalore, India, then you will get their address, location, and phone number, and all these things. Mr. Neelakanta Rao, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I learned a great deal about alcohol. And Rakshit,
thank you so much
it's
for
been a pleasure. And say hello to my nephew, Nikam. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching a Triple N Media show. We will see you next time. And in the meantime, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we bring you the latest news, views, and opinions and interviews such as these. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Doctor,
Thank
for
you.
hosting us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much.
Thank you again.